Your question is what, Fred?
Speed of greens. How does that factor into someone's putting rhythm?
Great question. So my name is Joshua Dunn. This is Fred Ost. And Fred's question is, how does the speed of the greens directly affect the timing of the swing? Is that your question? Is that properly formulated, or do you want to say it a little differently?
Oh, I'll have to roll the tape back to see what I said.
Well, say it again.
How does the speed of the green affect someone's putting rhythm?
So, in theory, the speed of the green should not affect someone's putting rhythm. Mm-hmm. But we all have the understanding that that they like fast greens and they don't like slow greens, or they like slow greens and they don't like fast greens. Everybody has a green speed, whether it's 8 or 15, that they prefer. So that has to do with backstroke length. So some people people who like slower greens have a long backstroke length, so they can hit it with a lot of energy and not blow it by the hole. And they can but people with shorter, who are quicker, probably like faster greens because they can control it more. But then you also have to account for the weight of the putter. So if you have a really heavy putter, then do you want a faster putting surface with a faster with a faster tempo, or do you want a slowing putting surface? And how do you know to adjust in your brain one or the other?
Right, well, that's the question.
Right. So I think that if you think about what greens you like, and you imagine that all greens are the same, even if they're not, even if you treat everything like that they are, and then you just adjust your length. If you can adjust your length, if you know how to do that, then you can putt consistently.
Right, but human nature, being what it is, always puts doubt into someone's mind
when
they're on a different surface.
So how do you look at the feedback appropriately? So that's why I think the blast motion is a good tool, because then you can look at, like, these greens are really fast, and I don't putt well on fast greens.
See, I thought they were slow.
And you thought they were slow, right? So right. But our judgment of them is different, depending on whether we're going uphill or downhill, or what we're used to.
You see, I like a green that you just look at the ball and it starts to move.
Really?
Yeah.
So what do you?
That's what I consider a fast green.
What do you do with windy days that you look at the ball?
Windy days, I stay home.
So you don't like the ball to move?
You can't play on windy days when the ball is oscillating.
Sure.
All you got to do is go back to some classic footage from the British Opens.
Right.
You'll see what happens.
For sure.
They can't even mark their ball.
Right. So do you believe that golf balls should be heavier, or that the hole should be a little bit bigger? Not necessarily to make it easier, but to necessarily make it a little bit
I think
fairer.
I think just fewer people ought to try to play golf. I really don't see why people put up with the game, to be honest with you. I really question
sanity
of some people that will actually try to play golf and think that they can improve, because honestly, no one gets better.
Well, I would challenge that statement. So I would challenge that statement, because I really think.
I'll put it this way: there's plenty of teachers that'll convince themselves that their students are getting better, but deep down, I think they all know that it's a lost cause.
Well, it's a matter. I think it's a matter of how well are you approaching the game and what your goal is. If you have realistic goals, then your players can get better. And if you can see that their statistics, that their score actually gets lower, then they're getting better, right?
Well, I think if your goal is excellent mediocrity, you might have a chance. But people don't put the time into improving, and they don't do the drills that'll actually deliver the
greatness
end result.
Right. Well, I agree with that 100%, Fred. I think a lot of time. I mean, look, we have a driving range. How much does the people actually learn hitting golf balls on a driving range about their swing? I would say little to none. But we spend lots of money on driving ranges, and almost every golf course wants a driving range so that they can, so people can hit balls and do lessons. I personally like the setup of the putting green. The putting green, you can hit to different distances. You only use one club, and being able to measure time, and then knowing that the green is going to change every single day. Every day is going to be it's going to be a little bit different. There's going to be certain things that are going to be the same.
Well, the only place that people can improve statistically and have it show up on their scorecard is the short game
And putting, right? Exactly.
Everything else is pretty futile. Learn to hit your 7-iron 150 yards consistently and hit it straight, and you'll probably break 82 almost every time you play.
Right. If you could hit,
hitting a 7.
You could just hit a 7-iron and a putter, and you can as long as you can land it on the green or somewhere close, then if you can hit your 7-iron again and chip and putt, then you're absolutely right. You could hit your 7-iron. You don't. I think so many people try to hit all their clubs or try to show off and impressing how far they hit it. Everybody's looking for distance, and everybody complains about consistency. I would like to be more consistent with this. I'd like to be more consistent with that.
It's a question of, if you want to be closer to the green on your approach shot, I suggest you start out on the forward tees.
Right. Precisely. There's a whole education. There's education programs about starting at 50 yards out, and if you can make par from 50 yards out, then you can make par from 100 yards out.
Well, everybody makes a big deal about the 150-yard marker.
Right.
And if you went out to the 14 holes that have a 150-yard marker, assuming it's a regular golf course.
Right.
How many of those people, if they played from 150 yards in and took the normal number of strokes into account to get to that spot?
Right.
Par 5, you add 2 shots to it. Par 4, you add 1 shot to it. How many of those people would break 80?
Right.
I don't think too many.
Not too many, right? But they'll struggle playing from the blues,
Well, because they paid for more golf. They paid $50. They want to get $50 worth of golf.
Right. No, you're precisely right. So they paid for it, and they want to feel like they're like the professionals. If they can hit the same yardages that they're hitting,
right?
Then they're when the real truth is that most amateurs, they really want to would play better to the ladies tour, or even the ladies minor league tour. That's a more realistic goal, to be a little bit over a little bit under, than to play to these crazy 20 under scores.
Well, most people, you could put them 30 feet away from the pin in regulation, and they still wouldn't break par. So that's why I say it all comes down to putting.
Right.
And you might as well, missing a 1 foot putt, you might as well have whiffed
Right.
somewhere along the line.